Hello Interior Design Show. I'm Brian Woulfe, founder and creative director of Design by Woulfe. Today I'm showing you around my Oxfordshire country home. Come on in. The house is actually an amalgamation of two properties, Old Vicarage, early 19th century, and then we have the cottage, which is early 17th century. This is a creepy old man. I was in antique dealers in Dublin, and this was hanging over the toilet, and he referred to it as the creepy old man. Arguably, this has the best view in the house. Sit here with your morning coffee and your pastry and look down the tree-lined avenue. It is glorious. For those of you that watched my London pied-à-terre tour, this is something a bit different. We're in Oxfordshire today, and this is the Old Vicarage. Part of it is early 19th century, the other part is early 17th century, and I'm going to give you a quick tour around. It's a very different approach to the work that we do. London was pristine and perfect, and it was an opportunity to go back to brick and do a full refurbishment. Here, it was about playing into the character and the imperfections of the property and just living with it as it is. This is Porter, a very naughty Irish setter, and Barney, our sheepadoodle. Let me introduce you to the chickens. So my constant supply of fresh eggs. Bring them back to London with me when I'm in London. But here are my birds. Welcome to the entrance hall at the Old Vicarage. This was a really blank and bland entranceway and indeed property when we first got the keys. It was about upgrading the paintwork, putting back in some of the period features, so we've put in cornice work. The entrance hallway is a great example. Art, decorative items and furniture throughout. A couple of my favourite features in the entrance hallway. Well, first of all, it's the bell. It drives the dogs wild. I'm surprised they're not barking at the moment. The original stone mullions around the windows. And then some of the really nice antique and vintage finds that we have found specifically for this home. The house is actually an amalgamation of two properties. We're standing in the former Old Vicarage, early 19th century, and then we have the cottage, which is early 17th century, and they've been knocked through together. This was originally butler's or the housekeeper's house, and it serviced the manor, which is not far from here. So welcome to my kitchen. This was an incredibly bland and very basic kitchen when we signed on the dotted line. So we knew we needed to change that as a priority. We've changed the floors. We've got bespoke handmade joinery made by one of the joinery companies we work with a lot on our projects. We've used argile paints on the ceilings and the walls. And it was about storage and the appliances. We've created little pockets, different areas. So we have a little alcove here for our breakfast area, coffees and toast. And there's a little nook on the side here that has sugars, tea, coffee pods, everything that we need over there. So as with London, I fell in love with the stone before I even knew what I was going to do with it. This is the Brazilian quartzite, and we sourced it through Stone World in London. We love the marbles and the stones that they have to offer. And our fabricator did a wonderful job on the triple bullnose detail here on the stone. It has this incredible flamed texture to it. It's leathered. It just feels incredible. The Bora hob, it's their new range. It's got a matte finish as opposed to the gloss finish. Apparently it's supposed to scratch less, but ask me in a few months and I'll let you know. And then it was an opportunity for us to use the new range Gaggenau appliances. We have the 400 series in London, but this is their new collection. So we've got the full-size oven, we've got the combi steam oven, and then the warming drawer, plus lots of storage everywhere for everything that we need. I fell in love with these croissant handles a couple of years ago, and I didn't know where I was going to use them. Along came the Old Vicarage, so they had to go in here. I think they work really well. It's sort of a quirky touch, bit of humor to the kitchen. So the pendant lighting is from a company called Bert Frank, and it had an almost chapel or church-like feel to it, and I thought it was very appropriate for the Old Vicarage. We had a mural artist fly in from the US to create this incredible mural on the wall, and it incorporates your typical Cotswold scenes, so the Cotswold stone wall, the sheep, the trees, the brook. And it creates a really cozy, inviting setting for us to sit and have, whether it's dinner ourselves, work on our laptops, or for friends to sit and relax and unwind while we're preparing a meal for them. The banquette is an outdoor fabric, so when the dogs come in from a muddy walk or they're slightly wet, it's essentially bomb-proof. And then just one other thing to show you. We have these little alcoves or niches built into the joinery in the curved areas. And this one includes a really nice ice bucket. So you don't have to go back and forward to the fridge. So there are 2 more rooms on this side of the property. I'm going to start with the dining room. Welcome to the dining room. The most comfortable and the most sumptuous dining chairs I have ever sat in, ever. In fact, it's really difficult to get guests to leave the dining room at the end of a dinner party. The table sits 12 if we need to, and the house sleeps 12, so that feels like a perfect number. We didn't do much to the space. It was more about painting and decorating the space with objects and pieces of furniture that we had found. We upgraded the lighting, so we added art lights for the art, a new pendant. We've color drenched the room in this soft pink, a console for serving wine and drinks in the evening. Quick upgrade to the fireplace. It's just a bog standard wooden fireplace, and we had some leftover marble, so we did the inlay, a very old Persian rug, and then some really thick and heavy window treatments. This is a Romo fabric. Just brings it all together and allows us to have a really, really cozy atmosphere in the evening when we're entertaining in the winter months. These doors both lead onto the corridor. This one is blocked off, but they lead onto the same corridor, so we don't need it. This is one of my favorite finds. We found this from one of our London dealers. It's a vintage piece, French, about 1960s. Absolutely love it, and perfect for storing all of the extra glassware and servingware that we need for when we're throwing a dinner party. So this corridor leads to the living room and also onto the garden. It's the main access onto the garden in the summer months when we're using it and using the terrace outside. Again, not a lot done in this space. We did add the cornices because they were missing. We've added these skiffers to the low level. Again, when we're mopping or cleaning the floors, we just wanted the skirting to be protected. We've hidden the old ugly radiators with some off-the-shelf radiator covers, and it was an opportunity to include some more art in the space. So welcome to the living room, or a room full of tat, as some of you like to call it on our Instagram posts. This is where we chill out and relax. We hang out with our friends here, play board games, watch movies, or just relax in front of the fire with a drink in hand. This is one of my favorite finds of all time. I should give you the challenge of working out how to open it first, but I'll just go ahead and do it. It's actually a bar, and it has everything hidden. And the amount of fun I have had with guests, getting them to figure out how to get into the bar, is unmeasurable. Another mural, the same artist that came from the US to paint the murals in the property. This one features the walnut tree that is directly outside the window, the lake that sits at the bottom of the fields that we're looking over, and that the dogs love to run down and chase the geese at. Lots of old finds in the property, so we have lots of these martini tables. This is an upcycled chair. We found it on Vinterior, and then we had some leftover fabric and we had it reupholstered by our reupholstery company. Vintage side table and trinkets and knickknacks that we have found to dress the property. And then just an old Persian rug to cover the floorboards. This house does get very cold in the winter. There's no insulation in the floor and the wind comes up through the floorboards. So we needed something to stop the draft in the winter months. The sofa is a bespoke piece designed by the studio and covered in a Holland and cherry fabric, and we love it. In fact, we love it so much that every time we sit in it, we fall asleep. So another one of the quirky details in the property that we discovered after we moved in was the sliding shutters, and I had never seen this before, so feel free to call me basic. So we'll continue the tour on this side of the property. We'll go upstairs and we'll come down the other side, and I'll show you my study afterwards. So we've got the 3 main bedrooms, 2 guest bedrooms and our principal suite on this floor. We've got a family bathroom here. Again, just a wee tart up, some nice fun pink striped wallpaper and pink tiles. And that services the 2 guest bedrooms on this side of the property. And I'll show you the guest bedrooms first. So this is the primary guest bedroom. And this is more about getting as much mileage out of a smaller budget as possible. We did reinstate the cornice, but beyond that, there were no real structural or large changes. We didn't change the number of circuits of lights in the space, so it's some bedside lamps, a reading lamp, and we just changed the pendant. And then we installed some wallpaper. A lot of people would say don't use red in the bedroom, but it's not my primary bedroom and it's a bit of fun for guests. So we went dark and dramatic with a big pattern for the space. A retail off-the-shelf wardrobe. We had a different artist do some fun murals on it just to bespoke it a little. Some art, a nice mirror detail that acts as a piece of art in the space. The all-important TV for guests when they want to have a lie-in on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning before heading back to London. And then a large Super King bed. Sometimes I wish this 4-poster was in my room. I love the drama of it and I love the carved posts on the bed. Very simple, dark wood stain, fun with the headboard again, bringing the reds in and some scar cushions, no heavy patterns. Retail blanket for the bedspread. Bedside lockers are again retail, those are from Oka. And then we have some vintage finds. We have a pair of vintage lamp bases, a pair of vintage mirrors either side, retail shades just to dress and pimp up the shades. And then finally, just the window treatment, just this sumptuous velvet, and it blends into the red wallpaper and creates a nice cozy feeling for guests, especially on the winter months when the wind is howling outside. Come with me and I'll show you the other guest bedroom on this floor. A much more neutral palette for this guest bedroom. Guests are really split between which one they prefer. Some prefer the drama of the red room I just showed you, and some prefer the neutral palette of this. Arguably, this has the best view in the house. Sit here with your morning coffee and your pastry and look down the tree-lined avenue. It is glorious. This was again about getting bang for our buck and making our money go a little further. Some will call it just a lick of paint. So a lick of paint, retail lamps and pendant and bedside lockers, an online supplier for this velvet, almost like a sleigh bed, I guess. And it was just about, bringing a cohesive color scheme together and creating something neutral, calm, and inviting for guests to stay in. Enough about the guests. Let me show you my bedroom now. So welcome to my bedroom. There's a lot going on in here. First, emperor-sized bed. Bigger is always better. A large vintage Persian rug. Again, great for warmth because they have the old wooden floors here. We have a matching pair of vintage bedside lockers. I love the size and the scale of them. And a near matching pair of mirrors. Again, vintage find and upcycled lamp bases. Some retail shades to go on top of it. The main feature of the room is the mural. The same artist from the US is responsible for this, and it has various scenes from the immediate area, and I just love this pathway above the bed. It's almost like your path in life. I think it's a really nice touch and a nice detail. The bed is so wide and the ceilings are quite tall here. It would have felt unnatural to put a piece of art so high up the wall, so the mural works really well here. For all you haters online, yes, there's a TV on the wall, yes, it's big, and yes, it's in the bedroom, but I enjoy a sleep in on the weekends when I'm allowed the opportunity. Lots of vintage finds here again. I have no idea what these would have started their life as. They almost looked like they were bells at one point. Perfect for candles and tea lights. This is a creepy old man. I was in antique dealers in Dublin. I went to the WC and this was hanging over the toilet and he referred to it as the creepy old man. And he had him hidden away there, and I saw it and instantly knew I had to have him, and I had to have him in this room overlooking the bed. And it's really old glass as well. You can see the pitting in the glass. Beyond that, I don't know the history of the piece. And again, vintage side table, an upcycled armchair, found it on Vinterior, again, the same as the piece in the living room. And then we had some leftover mohair and I covered it in that. So upstairs we have more traditional shutters as opposed to the sliding shutters we have downstairs. But to be honest, we never use them, in particular in the summer. This avenue looks spectacular all year round, but summer is my favorite month to be looking out this window. It just looks so glorious. Welcome to my ensuite. This was about getting bang for our buck. So a really dramatic wallpaper on the wall from House of Hackney. There's a lovely landscape scene on it. Really ties in really well with the walnut tree, which is directly outside the window, and in spring, summer and early autumn, it almost feels like it's part of this mural. Again, we didn't change any of the sanitary ware here, so it's an existing shower, existing vanity and taps. We did have some marble left over, and we had this splashback carved just to add a bit of drama and detail. And these toucan wall lights, I'm obsessed with them. Again, had spotted them a long time before doing this project. I knew I wanted to use them, and then this ended up being the perfect place to have them. So let me take you back in time, not quite to the early 17th century, but follow me. We have 3 guest bedrooms, a family bathroom, and a staircase that leads down to my study. Guest bedroom 3, guest bedroom 4, guest bedroom 5. So this is one of the older parts of the property. I love that you can start to see the age here, so that the thickness of the walls is very different on this side of the property than it is on the other side. This old staircase, I assume there was a doorway here at some point, and it leads into my study. Normally you'll find me working from home on a Friday, and this is where I do it, and catching up on admin and emails on the weekend. I'm obsessed with this rosewood vintage desk that we found online. Perfect for my needs and the perfect size. In fact, we're about to move offices in London and I'm looking for something exactly like it for that space. The chest of drawers that we have on this side of the room was actually supposed to be upstairs. It's too heavy and it's too big and we couldn't get it up, but I love looking at it here in this room. These are not trinkets that I found online, unlike a lot of the other objects you see around the property. These are actually my wins from my last season at polo. I needed to have a midlife crisis. So rather than buying a sports car like lots of my friends and my clients, I took up polo, not water polo, the horse version. And these are my wins from this season. And I'm looking forward to my third season this coming summer. Well, that's us nearly done. On my right, I've got the utility and the guest WC. And then on my left, I've got the boot room and the back entrance. And this leads us back into the early 19th century to complete our tour. Thank you for visiting Interior Design Show. It has been my pleasure showing you around my country home, and hopefully I'll have the pleasure of showing you around some of our projects in the very near future. If you want to find out anything more, all the information is in the caption below, our website and our Instagram handles. Until then, safe home.
Hi Interior Design Show, I'm Sarah Southwell, I'm an interior designer. This is my 16th century manor house in Somerset. Come on in and have a look. I like things that are original and authentic.